Okay, what is up, you guys? It is Yogi Sage here, and today I'm going to talk about the process of dehypnotization. Now, first, there's some keywords we should understand. First is what is hypnotization or hypnosis? My definition of what hypnosis is in some way you are programming or putting an illusion, one or the other, either programming or putting an illusion into someone's mind in which they live off of. Now, dehypnotization. This is something that is not talked about. My definition would be deprogramming what has been programmed onto somebody or getting rid of the illusion that is put into someone's mind. So, disillusionment can be a process of dehypnotizing or eradicating something that was programmed into your mind. That is also a form of dehypnotizing. Now, many people in the world, in fact, everybody in the world, is in some way hypnotized, actually. And I'll get to that. The other two words are consciousness and subconscious or unconscious. Now, these words are important for understanding how hypnosis works because these are important. This is how hypnosis works through consciousness or unconscious, subconscious. The unconscious or subconscious. We can simply say is the unawareness. Consciousness is simply awareness. So, for example, when your body goes into autopilot mode, you're moving things, you're doing things without awareness. This is your subconscious working. This is you unconsciously doing things. Consciousness is you're breathing manually. You're bringing awareness to your breath. You are moving. Every movement you're doing is with awareness, with intention. Unconsciousness. If you look at somebody talk, they just maybe just randomly moving their hands without much awareness, just unaccidental. They're doing it. So subconscious and unconscious, they are a little bit different. Subconscious is more repressed. Unconsciousness is more accidental. You're just doing things. Subconscious is like repressed memory with inside your mind or your being. Unconscious is like the expression of that. So with hypnosis today, many through a degree or whatever, through basically the hypnosis today or the hypnotists today, the way they do things is first they make the person unconscious. Then they plant things into the person's subconscious. I know you've probably seen some things. Maybe they make the person unconscious, and then they put some kind of trigger within their subconscious. The trigger may be words followed with a snap. They'll say these words. Even if they are unconscious or subconscious, the brain still picks up on these things. It is not a simple thing for me to explain right now, but let's say you are asleep. Like you're literally sleeping in your bed and you're unconscious. You don't even know if you're alive or dead. Someone can be tapping on your face when you're asleep. You won't feel it, you won't know until you wake up and they have to tell you. But even if you are unconscious, your body's still working. You're still breathing, you're still moving, your brain is still picking up things, you're still hearing, actually. This is why in dreams sometimes, whatever's playing in the background of a movie or show, you will start to dream based off the movie that you were watching. Or you might remember something later in the day which was actually happening when you were asleep. Your senses are always on. Whether you're aware or not aware, they are always on. You can't shut them off. Your eyes will always see, your ears will always hear. Doesn't matter if you're aware or not, if you're asleep or not, if you're unconscious or not, they're always working. Whether you remember it or not, still, they are working. So when you get into this unconscious state, they put this trigger, and then boom, they snap. And then the person, you'll see them, they'll react in a certain way, or they'll forget something, or whatever. Even though now they're conscious and they're aware, since something was planted into their subconscious and unconscious, they still react to that trigger. Their body still reacts to that trigger, right? That is just one way of hypnosis. There are many different variations, techniques, and processes. That was just one example that I gave because that is something that a lot of people see often. This is how hypnosis is done in today's world. The main thing is they make you unconscious, then plant something into your subconscious. My way is a little bit different. My way is I make you completely conscious. I make you as conscious as possible, actually. Because my form is dehypnotization rather than hypnotizing. See, today in the world, everybody's hypnotized to some extent. Even I was at one point. It can't be helped because this is the system that we live in and the kind of things that are forced and pushed into our psyche. It's inevitable you will start to take on that form of identity. For example, people have been hypnotized into religion. Whether you say your religion is righteous or correct or not is irrelevant because there is maybe like 10 other main religions. There's really like 30, there's like 300,000 religions in the world, but maybe like 10, I would say like 5 to 10 main religions. So then what does that make those people that are following a wrong religion? Then they are definitely hypnotized in some kind of way. They're programmed in some kind of way, or they're living in some kind of illusion. It doesn't matter if one religion is right. Okay, well then what about the other religions? These people have to be stuck in some sort of way. Religion is a form of hypnosis. It's programmed, it's illusion that people are stuck in and they pursue. Another example can be gender, it can be sex, it can be ideologies, it can be theories, beliefs, it can be just what the media throws out. It makes you be in a certain way. For example, it makes men want to be thugs, makes women want to be hoes, it makes programs you to have certain desires. This whole world programs people and makes people live in some kind of an illusion. The proof of this is when you were a kid. When you were a kid, at least when I was a kid, there was no phone or internet really. So you couldn't get programmed or illusioned from the media or the internet. There was no your hormones haven't developed yet, so there's no like sex or gender or anything like that. There are rare instances when it comes to gender and sex, but I'm not talking about those rare instances. There is no you're just life. There's no programming or illusion. You're just natural. You're a natural human being with a natural psychology and a natural nature and a natural biological process when you were a kid. As you grow older, you start to see more things. You start to experience more things. You start to get programmed and influenced in a certain kind of way. This is the hypnosis that I'm talking about. That the elites and the people who run the world have casted onto people like a spell. There's many men, for example, that live under the spell of simping. For example, Andrew Tate happened to be one of the people who broke many men out of that spell and illusion. He's an example. He may be controversial, even though Andrew Tate is not something that I want to get into right now. Whether you like him or not, he has unbinded a spell that has been trapped on men. And that is just looking at women like they're some sort of lost treasure, like they're a different species. In reality, women really are not that special. They are they're just as special as men. They're not more special than men. They're just like any other life. But that is not true with a lot of men unconsciously. Unconsciously they are looking at women like they're like a different species to them. Like they're angels. they are definitely they're definitely not angels. Women are definitely not angels. That's all Andrew Tate's goal was. It was to break the illusion that men are living under, and that is the illusion and the fallacy of how men perceive women. In reality, women are differently than how we perceive them to be. So, what is dehypnotization then? This is the process of, like I was saying earlier, you're almost like a kid again. You're living naturally. Your psychology becomes natural again. Your biological process becomes natural again. You're not living in illusion, you're living in reality. So, how? How can we dehypnotize ourselves. Because it's like I said, this whole humanity is under hypnosis, is under mental manipulation. They're under psychological manipulation and attack, whether we even realize it or not. The whole humanity. Because the whole humanity is identified with some sort of nation, religion, race. This is even race is hypnotization. We are just all one race, and that is the human race. We're made to believe that if someone is a different skin color, they're almost like a different species to us. Again, it is like the same thing with men and women. You see, a man sees a woman and thinks it's like another species. Logically, consciously, you may realize it is a woman, they are the same species. Or this is a man, he is, even if he's a different skin color, he's still a human. Logically and consciously, we may know this. The issue is your unconscious and subconscious is maybe 9 times stronger, if I were to give it an estimate, more stronger and more powerful and more influential than your conscious is. So consciously and logically, you may know this, that a woman is the same species and the man is a different color, he's the same species as you. But internally, subconsciously, repressed into the backside, deep down, you're saying something else. You're still viewing whatever it is as another species or just whatever it is. So it doesn't matter. Racism, a racism will never end by conscious action. Actually, it can. That's a different topic. It has to be the subconscious and the unconscious has to be dealt with. It must be felt. Also, it cannot just be logically known and seen. It must be felt as well. It is very difficult to explain, but it is. You have to get your subconscious on the same level of thinking as your conscious. Then suddenly, racism will disappear. If everybody subconsciously can can bring their subconscious to the surface of their consciousness, bring it to awareness, and realize that a man that is a different skin color is still the same species. If that subconsciousness comes to awareness, then he will truly see that person as his own, regardless of color. The problem is people don't deal with the subconscious and the unconscious part. So they say one thing, but then their actions show another. Then racism can't stop because the subconscious is more powerful, and that's what's dictating the circumstances of everything. So dehypnotization. I spoke. So we know what consciousness is. We know what subconscious is. We know what modern day hypnosis is. I haven't described. All right. Just forget where I was going with that. Dehypnotization, I kind of went over. I don't know if hypnotists today do dehypnotization, but if they do, again, they're going to try to tap into the unconscious or the subconscious, which is not what you want to do for dehypnotization, at least. For hypnotization, you can tap into the subconscious and unconscious. Still, I think it's better if you tap into the conscious. But for dehypnotization, it is always best you do this through consciousness. And this is where the problems begin. Because no hypnotists use consciousness. In fact, nobody even knows what consciousness is. Literally. It is undiscovered here. Scientists don't know what it is. Psychologists, therapists don't know what it is. Hypnotists don't know what it is. That's why they do everything unconsciously and subconsciously. If we learned what consciousness is, do you know what this means? We would have a different caliber of psychologists and therapists. Different caliber of hypnotists. When I say different caliber, I mean much, much, much more powerful and much more efficient and much more higher quality. Much, much better scientists as well. In fact, if we learn consciousness, then we've learned it all. That's another topic. Because consciousness is awareness. When everything comes to your awareness, that is the first key. Your intellect cannot even function if there is no awareness. What is there to function off of? It's not aware of it. When things are brought to your awareness, then you can use your intellect to figure things out. There's through consciousness, there is everything you can figure out. You may not learn everything, but whatever you want to learn, you can learn. Is like what I'm saying. I don't know how to really. Let's say this is everything you can learn. Or no, let's say this is just this big bubble. It's just everything you can. It's just all the knowledge in the world, right? If you had max consciousness, all of that is there and available. You're not going to be able to grasp all of it, but whatever you want to choose and pick to learn and figure out, you can. It'll be there. There will be no more questions because what your question is, you can figure it out. You can't learn everything because that would just take an incredible amount of time, and that's just a lot of you can't even store that much knowledge and information, but everything will be available to learn. So in the example of uh, psychology or therapy or whatever route that humanity takes, we will always be able to figure out a way to solve things. For example, like depression or anxiety. The reason why there's no cure is because it hasn't come to conscious light yet. Depression and anxiety is still in the unconscious. It's in the unawareness. And we're trying to, instead of bringing things to the conscious awareness, let me rephrase it. With depression or anxiety, that resides in the subconscious or unconscious. What the therapists and psychologists try to do is they figure out the subconscious and they try to figure out what is repressed. They just, once they figure out what it is, they pretty much just leave it at that. Literally, they just leave it at that. Instead of doing that because nothing's gonna change, that's why people have to take medicine that doesn't cure them, just temporarily fixes them or just suppresses whatever it is. Why not bring the subconscious or the unconscious up to the conscious awareness? Once these things are in the conscious awareness, now it's in your awareness. Now it's in your control. Now there's a lot of different choices and things you can do with that. Then you can fix things. Because again, subconscious and unconscious is what? It's autopilot mode. Your body is just doing and reacting. Consciousness is what? You're moving by choice. Whatever you want to do, you're doing. If you bring the repressed things from the subconscious and the unconscious to the conscious awareness, you can most definitely fix things. Why don't these therapists and psychologists and hypnotists bring things from the subconscious or the unconscious to the conscious awareness? I have no idea. In my experience, from what I've done, from the work I've done with other people, from the things I've done with myself, consciousness is a very huge aspect when dealing with the mind. Because consciousness is a state above the psychology, above the mind. It is two different levels, or two different intelligences. I'll begin. I haven't begin explaining my process of dehypnotization yet, but I'll get to it right after this, right after what I'm about to say. A lot of people like to think that they are the mind, or that they're the body. Well, most people know that they are not the mind, or I mean, not the body. The mind is kind of 50-50 for some people. And then when I say you're not even your thoughts, that's when people are like, I don't know. they they question it. Which questioning is not bad at all. My only problem is I don't understand why people question logical things, but then when it comes to something like religion, people don't question it at all. That's my only like issue, but questioning is not bad at all. You should question everything, even religion. You are, in fact, not the body. You are not the mind. You're not even your thoughts, actually. What organ do you need to think? Your brain. Your brain is what's producing thoughts. Your brain is one part of your mind, which is not you. Because what happens to the brain when you die? It goes underground with your body in a grave. Yes? Your brain is just like any other organ in your body. It is physical. Your heart pumps without you doing anything. Your liver's functioning without you doing anything. Your body's functioning without you doing anything. Guess what? Your brain is not unique in that sense. Your brain is functioning without you doing anything. You're producing thoughts without you doing anything. Your brain is constantly working, dissecting, using its intellect without you even doing anything. Your brain functions on its own because it's a part of the body. But you are not the body. You are not the brain. Your mind is ego. I remember talking with somebody and they said body is ego, mind is not. Mind is definitely ego. Your thoughts are ego. Yeah, your thoughts are ego too. This is the only difference. Before I explain the difference, just to solidify my point, you think the same old repetitive thoughts that just keep popping up over and over again without your control, you think that's really you doing that? The brain by nature is very repetitive. This is like the psychology of your brain. It's repetitive. Them same old recycled thoughts over and over again. You think that's really, do you think that's you? All the memory that you've gathered is literally just from this lifetime. All information. Most likely. I can't speak for everybody. But for regular people that are not in spiritual practice, name me one thing that you've gathered through your mind that's not of this lifetime or that's not of physical reality. You can't. So everything you've gathered with your mind was in this life. What you gather can be yours, but it cannot be you. I can gather some berries at a field and put it in my basket. I would be insane if I say that the berries are me. Would I? I pick the berries, I gather it, they're in my basket. It's obvious that I'm not the berry. So why people identify with their mind and their thoughts like this? They think it's them. It is not you. Here's the difference. You can consciously use your mind. You can consciously produce thoughts and use your thoughts. You can consciously use your mind. Or you can just let your mind go unconscious and subconscious mode. And then your brain will just take over and it'll produce whatever thoughts and it'll do whatever it wants. This is the difference. You can consciously, just because you're consciously using the mind, you can consciously use the mind or let your mind go unconsciously. If you consciously use your mind, this doesn't mean that you are the mind or your thoughts. This just means you're consciously using it, just like your body. You can let your body unconsciously move around and do things, or you can bring consciousness and awareness to your body and use your body consciously. It is the same thing with the mind. You can use your body consciously, with awareness, calculated. You can use your mind and thoughts consciously, with intention, with choice. So, you are not the mind, you are not the body, you're not even the thoughts. This naturally raises the question, then what are you? You have a non-physical dimension within you that is consciousness. This is the non-physical intelligence. So whenever your consciousness awakens, when you're in a conscious state, suddenly mind and thoughts, you have total awareness over mind and thoughts. In a way, you are above psychology. You're in a state above brain, like above psychology and brain and mind. You're in a state above mind through consciousness because you're in a non-physical space of intelligence. Intelligence exists in the non-physical. It has to be. And again, there is a physical, or there is a non-physical, because this reality works in duality. To have non-physical, there must be physical. To have masculine, there must be feminine. To have love, there must be hate. To have pain, there must be pleasure. To have yin, there must be yang. To have the sun, there's the moon. Light, darkness. To have physical, there must be a non-physical. No question about it. This is how our reality works. And in fact, there's 12 different dimensions that physicists have got into, which not all of them are physical dimensions. This third dimension, length, width, and height, is physical to us. But in the other dimensions, they reverberate at different frequencies, therefore there's many different things to it, but different dimensions and realms will literally be like non-physical. Literally non-physical. Because of how not dense those spaces and areas are. We live in a very dense space. This world is very dense. That is why us beings, we can't just go through walls and stuff like that. But anyways, if you look at a god or an angel or a spirit, clearly they have an intelligence, do they not? Clearly they have an awareness. They're aware of what us human beings are doing. In fact, they're more aware. In fact, the spirits are more aware than how human beings. They have more awareness than human beings have awareness. I don't know if you've realized. They have their own intelligence, their own functions. Intelligence exists outside of this physical. We are only in understanding of physical intelligence. So we know that we have cells and brain and this and that. There's a non-physical intelligence. And we have that aspect within us. We have the non-physical intelligence. So I kind of explained the premise of the conscious and the mind and the thoughts. Dehypnotization. This is a process. There's two ways you can do it, or you could do both ways at the same time. The first and simple way, probably the hardest, just go 30 days literally doing nothing. A lot of people have work and stuff like that, so this will be hard. But if you're younger or a kid, this will be a lot easier. 30 days, nothing, just in complete isolation. This means no phone, no internet, no sexual activity. You're meditating a lot, just being out in nature, just living naturally. How does this dehypnotize somebody from all the programming that has been done? When you are out by nature and you just are chilling in nature with nothing artificial, then you become natural again. Isn't it crazy how that works? I'm being serious. If you stay in nature, you start to become more natural again. Your mind starts to heal and revert back to its natural ways. Your biology begins to start functioning in the natural way it was. Uh, your mind starts to empty out all the things that are of no use anymore. You start to revert back to your original nature, back to how you were like a kid. Now that's just one way. It's the subconscious, and that's not that's what it was. After 30 days, so let's take for example quitting nicotine. After 30 days, your subconscious detoxes. It flushes out whatever it is. So let's say you have a nicotine problem. If you go 30 days without nicotine, largely everything will be back to normal. Still, there might your mind might be a little bit, wanting nicotine, but largely your body and mind is recovered for the most part. This is like a after 30 days of no nicotine, your mind detoxes. It subconsciously detoxes from nicotine. So if you go 30 days without watching pornography, then after 30 days, that addiction will be broken largely. Still, there may be a little bit of uh, like resonance or whatever. There might be some lingering of a little bit of lingering of urges, but it's definitely so much more manageable. But overall, your mind detoxes from it largely. So after 30 days of nothing, not even practicing your religion or nothing, you completely dehypnotize yourself from everything, from all programming, from all religion ideologies, from everything. You become just like natural again. Which is almost this can bring people to a state of self-liberation, which is a state you can reach. I think it is known in yoga, state of self-liberation, but I'll get to that after I explain the second way. The second way is you become very, very conscious, a very conscious human being. The way to do that is to be in a state of meditation all the time. So, what do I mean by being in a state of meditation all the time? Some people are only conscious sometimes. If you have to meditate to be conscious, if you have to meditate to be at ease or at peace, this means you're still asleep. You're blind still. You have to be meditative and conscious, not just in meditation, when you're living life. If you're only meditative and you're only conscious when you're in meditation, you are quite literally, by definition, blind to life. Because the only time you're conscious or meditative when your eyes are closed when you cannot see, you're blind, aren't you? That means you're gonna have to meditate your whole life and you're still not conscious yet. I don't So the goal of meditation is, okay, you're meditating, you become conscious. Keep that consciousness when you open your eyes. Soon you will reach a state when you don't even have to meditate anymore because you're just conscious walking around. You can even meditate while walking, actually. You can be meditative 24/7. It may seem ridiculous or difficult, but it's true. And then you will see that there's no need to meditate. And even if you do want to meditate, if you sit down, you're already in a very meditative state within 1 or 2 minutes. Already, because you're just meditative already. So, I'm talking about reaching a very deep state of meditativeness. The reason why you have to be in a deep state of meditativeness is because whenever you're in meditation, you reach a deep state of consciousness. When you reach a deep state of consciousness, eventually it'll get to a point where your whole being becomes conscious. When this happens, what is unconscious, what is subconscious, what is repressed in you, it comes into the light of awareness. It is forced to come up to the surface and is forced to be dealt with. You're forced to deal with it. You're forced to overcome, learn, manage, whatever it is. When all these things come up to the surface, a lot of the things that are going to pop up are the hypnotization from the ones in power. Then you will realize, like, okay, for example, religion. When you become conscious, that subconscious religion that you had, if it comes to conscious awareness and you're looking at it, you see it for what it really is now. It's not repressed anymore, it's to the surface, so you can see it in its entirety. Naturally, you just dehypnotize yourself from it. And then another thing comes to the surface. Maybe it's feminism. You realize what that is and you dehypnotize yourself from it. Then it's something else and something else. So that is one way. You become super conscious. And then naturally, you will just start dehypnotizing yourself. And then the third way, somebody can just, if there is somebody who is very wise, somebody who's truly awakened, somebody who's truly conscious in your life, just spend some time with him or her. The more you talk and the more you interact with them, it will just break the illusions and programming you've been under. Just by simply being around them. Actually, that's very similar to Andrew Tate, the example of Andrew Tate. Just being around somebody like that can break influencing. In the same way that the ones in power can simply just talk and project certain things onto you and you become hypnotized that way. On the contrary, on the flip note, there can be somebody doing the same thing and it'll break them out of that illusion and programming. It is very easy to hypnotize. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You just need some time for yourself. You need to become more conscious, and you need to stay away from the hypnotization. You don't even need to stay away from it actually, because once you reach a certain level of awareness, once you reach a certain mastery over your mind and body, whatever is projected to you, you can reject it. Or you can see it for what it is and not let it program you or influence you or make you live in a certain illusion. You can just be fine. But if you're trying to dehypnotize, you have to stay away from all the things causing the hypnotization first, because you need to experience life as it is without the hypnotization in the way. That makes sense. Because once you experience life like that, when you do go back on the media and when you do go back on everything, you're gonna realize what that exact hypnotization was for you. So, oh, it was about gender. Oh, it was about this or that. Self dehypnotization, that alone won't bring you to a state of self liberation. I'm trying to think. If you break all spells and hypnosises on your mind, does that also eliminate all desires? But the desires will still be there because that's biological functions and that's natural biological process. So dehypnotization will not bring you to self-liberation, but you'll be close actually. You'll be pretty close to reaching the state of self-liberation. You will for sure you will for sure reach a state of ease and peace. So this is like the lowest, I guess. So like not the like the. Okay, let me explain it like this. So you have different levels to your experience of life. You can have anger, sadness, and fear. Like these are like the three lowest one. Then you have neutral, which maybe it's boredom, or maybe it's just nothing, like emotionless, whatever. Doesn't matter what you want to identify it as. Peace is the lowest level. I would say happiness is above peace. Then there's joy. Joy is above happiness, I would say. Then you have bliss. No, not bliss. I'd say love. Actually, maybe joy is above love. Actually, hold on, let me reset. So it's neutral, peace, joy, not joy, happiness, love, joy, bliss, ecstasy. So there's different levels. When somebody is like joyful, that means they're really happy. So peace is like you're just at ease. Dehypnotization will for sure, if you dehypnotize yourself from all the bullshit in the world that these people try to hypnotize your mind with, you will definitely be at a state of ease. You'll be at a state of peace because your nature is joy, is love or joy, somewhere around there. Because when a kid is born, what is he? He's just joy and love. When he's not programmed by anything. That's how you should be. So at least when you're dehypnotized, you're at a state of at peace. The reason why I'm not saying you'll be in a state of love or joy, because it's weird. For me, when I went through the dehypnotization process, because this is something that I've just discovered and I did, I also reached a state of self liberation. So all desires dropped from me. And that was just love and joy. But I'm trying to remember if there was a day where I lived in when I was dehypnotized and then I wasn't in self liberation. But there wasn't. My dehypnotization and self liberation happened at the same time. So I can't say how it is, but I know for sure you will be at ease. And dehypnotization will happen. Now things get tricky because when you do it on your own, so you have no influence from everybody else, what's meant this you get dehypnotized, right? But this doesn't mean that you'll learn or figure out the truth, if that makes sense. So, let's say you dehypnotize yourself from women. You stopped watching pornography for 30 days. You've dropped all your ideologies in the way. All your ideologies mean you think women are an angel, just like whatever, right? This doesn't mean that you will know the truth of female nature and female psychology, right? That will open up whenever you are ready. If it is forcefully given to you, that can actually, that is knowledge that you're not ready for. That can literally damage you, actually. That could put anger in you, or depression, or whatever, or like sadness. So if you have somebody that does disillusion you from a certain subject, but they also shed truth instead of an illusion on it, that can damage you, even if you're living in a reality. I don't know how to really explain it. So dehypnotization can be a wonky topic now that I'm thinking about other people. So even if you dehypnotize yourself from one topic, that doesn't mean truth about it will come out. It's just all the illusion and fallacies about it will be removed. And that's like the whole kill. You're removing the fallacies, you're removing the illusion, and you're removing the fantasy away from whatever it is. So, I guess I can't really say how you will feel and how one will react to the process of being dehypnotized. But I will say one thing for sure, and this is actually for sure. You will build a clarity and a vision, and you will see reality for the way it really is, for the way that's really happening. And that is the important thing. Whether you feel peace, whether you feel sad or angry, who knows? But one thing is for sure, you're going to see reality for the way it is, and you're going to have vision, and you're going to have clarity. And that is the most important thing. Self-liberation is a different thing. I'm going to talk about that next. I'm probably just going to make a whole another video. Literally probably about to end this video and make a video on that. So, yeah, that's literally this video. It is the process of dehypnotization. Dehypnotizing your mind from all the influence and all the things that are projected and all the things that is programmed to you. A lot of people live with these illusions and these programmed way of thinking without even knowing, because the brain is like a program. It's repetitive by nature. It has its own sequence and process. You can program brains, and this is what the ones in power have done. You can break through all the programming and become just a natural life again, with a natural psychology and a natural biological process and a natural life. I'm thinking it'll bring you somewhere to peace or somewhere at ease. But if you're disillusioned and the truth is, if the illusion is like good, it's something that you are not good. If the illusion is like something that you want to hear and the truth is more harsh, if you get disillusioned by the illusion and realize it's not true, and then you realize that what is true, which is more harsh, if you realize that can damage you, even though it's true and you're getting rid of the illusion, that can still damage somebody. So either way, I think it's definitely like a temporary. I don't know. I've never really like. I'm trying to think about how it would affect somebody else, because in my experience, it was fine. But I didn't have anyone to guide me or show me anything. I kind of just figured these things out like on my own, you know? So I don't know how other people would react. I just know how I react, and I reacted positively to the disillusionment process. But yeah, this was Yogi Sage, and I'm about to go make a video about desire. And it's gonna be desire is the root to all suffering. Because desire really is a root to all suffering. I know the Buddha said attachment is the root to all suffering, but I'm a living Buddha myself. So I can also say that desire is the root of all suffering. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just I'm just a yogi. But I'm being serious though. Desire really, I'm gonna meditate on desire real quick, and I'm about to make another video.